everybody, and welcome to the third or fourth take of the new installment into Unhinged News Stories of the past. So it has been a very, very long time since I filmed or actually done Unhinged News Stories of the past, and I'm really glad to have found a really, really great paper for you guys. So all of the stories that I'm going to be reading today are off of the Abilene Reporter-News, and this is their issue dated April 4th of 1956. And this is a newspaper that is based out of Abilene, Texas. So some facts here. This Abilene Reporter-News was founded back in 1881 by Charles Edwin Gilbert. And it was founded 3 months after the founding of the city. So it is actually the longest running business there, as this Abilene Reporter-News is literally still around today. So it is the oldest continuous news in Abilene, Texas. That's some background for the paper, as it is actually still going on now. I think it is the very first paper that I've done an Unhinged News Stories about that is currently still going on today, 146 years later. Really, really significant. So some of the stories that I'm going to be doing today do include like an unhinged Florida man story. I'm going to call one of them like a 50s Ozempic because it does have to do with weight loss. And then another one, and just of course your usual criminality and everything like that. So again, all of the stories that I'm reading today are off of the Abilene Reporter-News on their issue dated April 4th of 1956. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this very first story I'm going to be doing is what I want to call a vintage Florida man story. I think I'm going to do a compilation one day of like Florida man stories, because I feel like Florida man's always been a bit of a character, and this story is like genuinely random and so hilarious. But this is a vintage Florida man story, again from April of 1956. This is based out of Tampa, Florida. So chicken attacks Florida man. Let's get into it. A 61-year-old man charged in a $100,000 damage suit that a gamecock attacked him, causing him to fall to the floor and suffer permanent injuries. Cecil P. Dixon, former head of St. Petersburg coffee firm, charged that he called at the place of business Ernest Atkins, a paper dealer, in 1952 and was attacked by the cock. Dixon said the fighting cock did continue his vicious attack upon the plaintiff after he had fallen to the floor, pecking, scratching, and tearing at the flesh. This is genuinely such a crazy story, but he's essentially suing Ernest, I believe, for $100,000 in damage. And to put things into perspective, because of course this is the historicizes, $100,000 in 1956 is the equivalent of $1,224,300 today. So he's essentially suing him for over $1 million in today's money for this vicious attack by this chicken. So again, I guess he'd called there. This is back in 1952, so he would have been in his later 50s because he's 61 and 56. And he was just attacked viciously. Now, I don't know what Ernest has to do with it other than the fact that this happened likely, obviously on his business premises. I'm not going to say that Ernest set this chicken to attack him, but that's a lot of money. But I guess he did suffer permanent injury. So of course, anyway, that is the lawsuit, and that's what happened. I don't know how this story ended up, but he sued him for hella money because this chicken attacked him. This next story is about essentially a weight loss craze. So weight loss crazes, of course, they go crazy every single time, but this is a specific weight loss craze tied to barcentrate, which was a tonic that was really popular in Texas back in the 1950s. And again, this paper is from April of 1956. So this would have been when barcentrate was like incredibly popular. So the title of this is Lubbock Lady Lost 30 Pounds with Barcentrates. Miss E.R. Driver, 2306 21st Street, Lubbock, Texas, wrote to us as follows. I weighed 165 pounds when I commenced to take Barcentrate. Now I weigh 135, a loss of 30 pounds. And Miss H.E. White, Route 2, Childress, Texas, wrote that she had lost 10 pounds taking Barcentrate. Get Barcentrate from any Texas druggist. Interesting name. If the very first bottle doesn't show you the way to take off ugly fat without starvation diet, return the empty bottle for your money back. So this Barcentrate was it was just a really popular weight loss tonic in the mid 20th century, and it really was primarily marketed in Texas. So I'd actually looked up what Barcentrate was, and I guess it was kind of like something that was being recommended by like doctors at that time. They haven't found any strong correlation with actual weight loss, but this really was a craze in Texas back in the mid 20th century. So it's just very interesting to like see it in real time. And again, it kind of feels kind of like Ozempic-ish in a way, like in my mind, but you can definitely see the ways in which this specific drug, I guess, there was just this craze around it. And here, of course, we have this woman who is Miss ER Driver, because of course it's always first initial, middle initial, last name, who's essentially saying that she lost 30 pounds from taking barcentrate. So I wonder if anybody still takes that today. I just thought that was a really, really interesting story to share, but I do wonder if barcentrate might still have its lingerings in Texas. Who knows? Maybe we should ask a Texan. I love how he has fully settled down now. I love that. Anyway, this next story that I'm gonna read is titled Burglar Leaves Fingerprints. And so this is kind of like for my vintage true crime sleuths here. But this is from Long Beach, California. So it looks as if the jig is up for the Piggy Bank Burglar. So I just wanna say, for somebody to be a Piggy Bank Burglar is so hilarious to me. Like, for your literal name and what you're known for to be the Piggy Bank Burglar is genuinely hilarious. He climbed in a window of Lauren C. Harvey's home yesterday and escaped with a few pieces of jewelry and coins from Harvey's daughter's piggy bank. So he robbed a little girl's piggy bank, essentially. But Harvey is a fingerprint technician for the Long Beach Police Department, and he said the thief left behind several clear fingerprints on the windowsill and bank. Harvey said he expects to solve the case. So fingerprinting has been popular since like the late 19th and early 20th century. And I actually did look that up. So it is pretty interesting that I guess in this case, this fingerprinting technician, who I think is police affiliated, is essentially saying, we're going to find this guy because he robbed my daughter of her piggy bank burglar. Of her piggy bank, because of course that's what he's known for. Anyway, this is just the story that I wanted to share of an elusive piggy bank burglar who just happened to target a little girl whose father was a fingerprint expert. I actually looked up Piggy Bank Burglar to see if there was something infamous about this man, but it says that there's just several like infamous real life cases of thieves that were targeting piggy banks. And the first example they gave was from 2013. So apparently this is still happening. And it's kind of crazy because I don't know, maybe people still do. I'm like, who still has piggy banks? But I guess they still do. Anyway, hopefully they caught him. I love how I said that he was calm and then he just happened to like hop off during my last story. Anyway, this last one that I'm going to read, it is truly unhinged. And this is just like the usual criminality that we see, but this one is like, it's pretty crazy. But this is auto tags, jewelry stolen, dog is reported poisoned. So I'm gonna go ahead and read into this. It's the longest one I've read so far. So, theft of auto license plates, jewelry, and car wheel discs, and the poisoning of a dog have been reported to city police. One citizen reported some stock certificates missing from his home. Harold Hughes, 1101 Leggett Drive, said Wednesday morning that someone stole 2 large chrome wheel discs from his 1956 Dodge. Raymond McCoy of Bacon Security, Colorado, said, is that Colorado? Bacon Security company said Wednesday that the 1956 license plates were stolen from a 1953 Ford on a parking lot at North 6th and Walnut Streets. Douglas Lavier, 758 Poplar Street, reported Tuesday the theft of a Burness wristwatch, a tie bar, and some cufflinks. Bob Martin, 1941 Chestnut Street, said his dog died of poisoning Wednesday morning. Guy Caldwell reported that 2 stock certificates representing shares in the Travelers Insurance Company had been missing from his home, 1314 Elmwood Drive, since February. So this is just a list of like different crimes that are happening. I don't know if they are saying that they may all be tied together because this is all one story. So maybe there's like a link or a connection with all of these stories. I'm not 100% sure, but from auto tags and like a dog being poisoned is just genuinely crazy. And I don't know if this is still a practice today, but oftentimes with like a lot of old stories, they do also list the name and like the address of the person. And I'm kind of wondering like the ethics behind that. And again, if that's something that we do today, especially since these people have quite literally been targeted from like a crime, like a burglary and like the poisoning of your dog. But I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to share that as well because that's part of just the unhinged chaos that was happening this week of April back in 1956, which I just realized is 70 years ago this year. So anyway, yeah. This next story is really, really short, but I just wanted to read it because it has to do with filing your taxes, which is something that like nobody likes to do. So this says 500,000 have not filed tax returns. Dallas. With the April 15th deadline less than 2 weeks away, some 500,000 taxpayers in the Dallas Internal Revenue District have not filed income tax returns. The district covers 143 Texas counties. It had received 800,000 returns up to yesterday. So this is just a really, really short and kind of like funny story to me. I don't know why, about like taxes not being filed. And the like process of filing taxes back in the day, because like nowadays we go like to TurboTax or like Inuit, like wherever you go to file taxes. Filing taxes back in the 1950s was like a bunch of like hand calculations. So you were literally like calculating your gross income, you were calculating your income, and then from there you were like actually like using formulas to essentially like break down taxes. So of course you could like go to tax experts, which back in the 50s, I would have hella gone to a tax expert because there's no way I'm like doing all of that. But like that was like the process of doing taxes back then. Of course, they were all due like around April, kind of like they are due today. But 500,000, I guess, I mean, I feel like it's pretty common, but at the exact same time, like I know I would have been chronically late back in the day. Like hand calculating taxes is so crazy to me. And the fact that I'm hand calculating my own taxes, which is like, my taxes are already being withheld. It's just one of those things where like, I just hate the process of like filing taxes in the modern era. And I always do it last minute with freaking TurboTax or like whoever the heck I use. But the fact, like the idea of like manually calculating my taxes would drive me crazy. On like a paper spreadsheet with a calculator or whatever the heck they used back in the 50s, I'm not even sure, I would have been chronically late. Or I would have just gone to somebody to do it for me. I don't know. Anyway, that's just a very funny story that I wanted to share. Funny to me story that I wanted to share about late tax filings. Because listen, last minute has always been the case. We like doing things last minute. We're not the first to do it, and we certainly will not be the last, okay? They kind of have a better excuse than we do though. Anyway, those are just some of the stories that I wanted to share, again, off of the Abilene Reporter-News on their issue dated April 4th of 1956. Yeah, just some stories that I wanted to share. I found them funny. I found them interesting. I found them everything in between. And I just thought that it was very interesting that I, just wanted to go ahead and share those with you. Again, I think a vintage Florida Man compilation is in the works. Like, we really do need to give a tribute to Florida Man and how unhinged this man has been for probably centuries now, honestly. So again, shout out to Florida Man for being the first and definitely most interesting story off of this paper, which by the way is from Texas. So listen, we were all paying attention even 70 years ago. But again, thank you so much for watching. And just thanks for tuning into another episode of Unhinged News Stories of the Past. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and your weeks and this Memorial weekend. Bye.